the Donovan Live postgame show right here on WKYC's Facebook Live. I'm Dave DiNatale, back after a day off. Jim Donovan with me as well. And,
not a day off.
Not a day off, yes. In your words, and I thought it was so appropriate, in Jimmy's take, which, by the way, if you missed Jimmy's take, it's on the link. You can connect right here on Facebook Live and watch it. Today was a franchise-changing day for the Cleveland Cavaliers with the flurry of trades that happened in about a 90-minute span. Time will tell if it's a franchise-saving day. But you certainly, I think, Cavs fans and kind of taking the pulse of social media and seeing what people are saying, I think fans are very positive about what took place today.
Yeah, because I think, first of all, I think we've watched them play. Mm-hmm. And I think we're all, and have been, not guilty of it, but kind of patiently sitting saying, well, they'll push that button that I've talked about, and they're going to push that button, and this will all look a lot better. Mm-hmm. But as it went on, it didn't show any signs that it was going to get better with the way they played, or or their ability to play at a high rate, of anything, really, defense or really offense. I mean, the Cavs became a team that just kind of stood around that three-point line, moved the ball around. They really didn't have an inside game unless they wanted to break on a dunk or something like that. And I think that as we all looked at it, we said, this team, the way it's constructed right now, is not going to win.
No.
Okay, no. It's not going to win the way you would expect them to win and the way they're paid to win with this, with this payroll. So I give them a lot of credit. I thought we were going to see a trade.
Right.
I didn't think we were going to see four of them.
Right.
With six players, getting traded out of here.
Yeah. Let's kind of look at them, the trades one by one here. The first one was the stunner, really, that Isaiah Thomas, alongside Channing Frye, sent to the Los Angeles Lakers. And coming back is a familiar name to Cavs fans.
Yeah.
And, from Revere High School, Larry Nance Jr., local boy who played so well at Wyoming and has become such a great dunker in the NBA. And a guy that, I'm looking at his picture right now as we're showing it to you, Jordan Clarkson. A guy that, he averages about 14 points a game. Really kind of looks like a good backup guard to come in and be able to spell George Hill, who we'll get to in a second.
Here's the key.
Yeah.
Both 25 years old.
Yes.
Okay, because it looks like what the Cavs wanted to do was to get younger.
Right.
I think that was the overriding thing, that when you looked at the Cavs, even going into the season, you said, well, I mean, the Cavs are an old team.
Yes.
But then when it's fine to be old. You can be cagey and you can be smart. And
veteran savvy.
Yeah, you can have veteran savvy. But when you're old and you're slow and now we kept saying they don't play defense. I don't think they can play defense. Right. Because, they were just really too old to compete with these teams. So they have lowered their age on the roster. These two kids are both 25 years old.
Now, I mentioned the other part of that trade, though, was the first-round pick of the Cavs in 2018. Now, it's not the Brooklyn pick. It's not going to be the high pick, but it's the Cavaliers' own draft pick, which the Lakers really want. They really are trying to stockpile assets and cap space to entice free agents to go out there in this offseason. So the most important part about that was that the Cavs didn't have to give up the Brooklyn pick. They keep that pick, and it's kind of as we said earlier, I think this week, it's like a chip you just kind of can stick in your pocket. You've got it obviously now at the draft if you want to draft a young player, or use it. You do what they did with Kevin Love a couple of years ago. You draft Andrew Wiggins, and then you parlay that into a trade for a star. So we'll see what happens. But the Cavs, at least, they've got that big asset.
Yeah, and I think that was an immovable object for them. I mean, I think that I think everybody came to them and said, okay, well, we want that Brooklyn pick. And I think the answer was definitively, no, you can't have that. Now, do you still want to talk to us about something else? And I think early on, nobody did.
Right.
Okay, because I think that's when everybody rang them up, as we say. I think everyone said, let's start with the Brooklyn pick, okay? Here's the key thing, too, is they got rid of Isaiah Thomas, and Isaiah Thomas was not a fit here.
Right.
And he wasn't a fit physically, and he wasn't fit physically because of that hip injury, but he was not a fit, Dino. We knew he did not play much defense,
Right.
if any at all. But we thought that he would overcome that and override that, which is what he did last year, at least with the Celtics, with a burst of offense and, you know, a maneuverability and a drive to the bucket, maybe not as great as Kyrie Irving, but certainly a lot of people thought that he, you know, would speed the Cavs up a great deal. But the other part of him, and the more destructive part, and the more concerning part, if it was allowed to continue to go on, was that, and I said this earlier, he's a stick of dynamite in that locker room.
Yep.
And I don't think he was well liked by this team, by his teammates. And I'm not just talking about the meeting where he kind of took on Kevin Love. The Cavs would say, we're going to go left. And Isaiah Thomas would say, why are you going left? You should go right. Everything they did.
And, you know, he's a guy, and it was funny just to hear David Griffin, the former Cavs GM, talk about this today on NBA TV. Isaiah is a ball-dominant guard.
Sure.
You already have somebody on this roster who's ball dominant. His name is LeBron James, who likes to bring the ball down. He likes to have the offense go through him. It was a square peg in a round hole from style of play, but I just think maybe it was some of I think obviously this was in the works, but you know the Orlando game to me the other night seemed like the last straw. Things that happen on and off the court.
Yeah, there was a play last night too where he threw this bizarre pass, and that was a very tight game all the way through. He threw this bizarre pass to Kyle Korver over in the left corner that if Kyle Korver was living in Euclid, he would have struggled to be able to get the pass. I mean, you know, and I think LeBron looked at him like, what the heck are you trying to do? I mean, that's the way it was going. So it just wasn't a good fit. And I think it's, you know, his career is only 15 games long with the Cavaliers because, of course, he couldn't play until after Christmas with that hip injury. And, you know, Isaiah Thomas is going to be a guy, I don't know, you know, where he's going to find a team that's going to be able to take on that attitude. Now, he used that at times, this kind of, you know, I've got a chip on my shoulder, you know. He used that to his advantage all last year, I thought, with the Celtics. But I think at times, and I think it becomes wearing on teammates, on coaches, and it didn't take long for it to wear on everybody here.
It was like, I always felt with Thomas, it was kind of like the kid who moves to another, you know, you could use whatever analogy you want. The girlfriend, you know, the jilted lover and everything. The kid who moves to a different school, but all he can do is talk about what they used to do at my old school, you know, and all they used to talk about was, you know, how the Celtics used to do this to win. Well, the Celtics, I'm sorry, they couldn't beat the Cavaliers in the playoffs. And you know, at some point it just gets tired and old, and you know that chip from Danny Ainge trading him never seemed to go away. That hurt and that being cut at the heart, and I don't think that ever went away for him.
No, it obviously didn't. I thought that was going to fuel him. I did not think he was going to spray the fuel all over the Cavs locker room and then take a match to it. So I think they got out of this. Really, they got out of it, and that's a very, very good thing for them because there was no way the Cavs were going to pay him at the end of the year and into the summer what he wants. He's a free agent at the end of the year, and there's no way that the Lakers are going to do that. So he's going to have to find another team out there that's going to take him on. And I would say that his value has been lowered dramatically.
He may have to take a one-year deal somewhere to prove he can be healthy and be in the right place before he gets a max deal. So that was the first trade. And then, like, less than an hour and a half later, we're hearing more news. A 3-team trade. The Cavs send Iman Shumpert goes to Sacramento. And then Derrick Rose and Jay Crowder go to the Utah Jazz. And in exchange, the Cavs get George Hill, the veteran guard, the former Pacer, who'd kind of been a lost man in Sacramento. He signed a big contract, but wasn't getting the playing time he wanted. And then the other guy is a guy that maybe, if you don't follow the Western Conference very closely, you might not have heard the name Rodney Hood. But, Jimmy, I got to tell you, I think Rodney Hood might end up being the centerpiece of this trade. And, you know, how high that goes, I don't know. He's averaging about 17 points a game. He's known as a shooter. The Cavs certainly need shooting. I think that might be the best part about this entire series of trades.
Yeah. Well, again, now, other than George Hill, they get a younger player to come in here. And again, now, you know, there are a bunch of players here, Channing Frye, Shumpert, I used to tell you, these guys are the ring bearers. I mean, they want to get rings, okay?
Right.
But we're not in a position right now. But we are not the team of 2 years ago. We're definitely not the team of even last year. Right. We can't afford to have. I think they're finding out they can't afford to have all this driftwood hanging on that bench, just to hang around and in late June pick up hopefully a ring or a pretty substantial playoff check. They just can't do that. It's going to take a full roster to defeat anybody, really, because I think they're going to get a run in the East. But definitely, whoever's going to come out of the West, be it Golden State, Houston, whoever, San Antonio, they're all deeper and better. And at least today, this was a two-pronged day. Mm-hmm. It takes care of a lot of problems now, because they weren't going to win with that roster. Yeah. But it makes the future look a little bit different, maybe a lot different. I'm underselling it. It makes the future look a lot different, and it has to give LeBron James a period of interest to look at this and say, as ticked off as I was about, David Griffin, Kyrie Irving going, what the heck is going on here? Right. Okay. No one's listening to me. They kind of went to him. Yeah. And tipped him off last night about, I know you're going to get to Dwayne Wade. We're thinking of trading Dwayne Wade away. Is that okay? And we have these deals on the table that we're going to make a move. So it has a present use for the Cavs to try and bail this thing out, which is going to be difficult. But in the future, this thing looks a lot different.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's so tough, I'm sure, for a guy like Dan Gilbert, who has built himself a tremendous company in Quicken Loans or Rock Financial and everything that it's been called, and he's turned himself into a billionaire, and he's done so well for himself from a business standpoint. And then now he owns this franchise. He's owned it for about 12, 13 years. You have to rely on, everybody around you, but you got to rely on LeBron James, and you're the boss. But you gotta, it's almost like you've got a partner there, and it's not an easy pill sometimes, I think, for him to swallow. But I feel like over the last 48 hours, between whether it was through Rich Paul or whether they grabbed LeBron himself, and with Kobe Altman, and they just kind of put their cards, the Cavs put their cards on the table and said, "This is what we want to do," and I applaud him for it, Jimmy. That's if you're bold. And you're letting LeBron know that, hey, we're serious, and we're going to take on some more money if we have to, but we're serious, and we're gonna do what we need to do. Well, that's going to entice him to stay, to want to, as you said on Jimmy's take, to really take a serious look and say, boy, little old Cleveland is fine with me.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a basketball decision, I mean, the Cavs put themselves back in the game. Yeah, because they look better. They have to look better to him than they did if they kept around all this stuff. And you have Isaiah Thomas. Or what are you going to do with him? I think it looked bad. And I think LeBron was playing a little bit that way.
Yeah,
he looked to be going through the motions. He was a different LeBron last night. Yeah. I mean, he was old LeBron. And I don't mean old in age. He was the old guy that you tuned into SportsCenter every night to see what he did that particular night. What he did last night was pretty special. Triple-double, 37, 15, 10. I mean, across the board, game-winning shot, at the buzzer. That's LeBron being excited about what's going on. So the other thing is, though, there's a little bit of a safety net here, Dino, that if he did leave, I don't think that we are at ground square zero right now because they held on to the Brooklyn pick and because they have a young team. Right. That guys that have played, and I think that's workable. Mm-hmm. It's not great, but it's workable.
No, all of a sudden it's not 15 wins and losing 26 games in a row bad. I mean, you've got at least something to a foundation to start rebuilding if you have to go in that direction. So you mentioned Dwayne Wade. I don't want to forget about that. Cavs, the final trade was sending Dwayne Wade back to his first stop, the Miami Heat, really doing a solid for Wade, I thought. And, that's what classy organizations do. Right. I'm sure LeBron had an Instagram post right away. So, clearly he knew that was coming. And I think it was the right thing to do. It represents, hey, look, the Cavs, we're thinking about you. We're trying to go young. We want to make sure you have a chance to play. And we know you want to go back to Miami.
I compare it to what happened about a week ago when Alex Smith got traded. Yeah. Okay? Follow along here. When Alex Smith got traded, teams like the Browns were in on it. Okay? Yeah. They were in on the trade. But the Browns were a little hesitant, maybe a lot hesitant, to give him a long-term deal. Okay? So Andy Reid wanted to take care of Alex Smith for the good service that he gave the Chiefs, and now they're going to move him out, so they're going to move Patrick Mahomes in. And he kind of went to him and said, hey, Washington is going to give you a long-term deal. We can live with the Washington trade.
Right.
Do you want to go to Washington? And he said, yeah, thanks. I mean,
Right.
thanks. It's a good deal. It's a deal. I mean, he was a pro in Kansas City, took them to the playoffs 4 years, and, got them as far as they could go at that point in time. But they didn't just, blow them away. Now, you send them to Cleveland, okay? It helps us really for a year, but we want to get on with a young quarterback. And then at 34, going on 35 in a year, he's got to look. He's got to
start somewhere else again. Yeah.
And I think that's what the Cavs did. Dwayne Wade's a Hall of Famer. Dwayne Wade is a Miami Heat. He is the Miami Heat.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and I think he was heartbroken and upset when Nicky Aronson didn't get that deal done with him, and that's when he stormed off to Chicago, and then he came to Cleveland. You don't want to see a guy like. It always bothered me to see Michael Jordan playing for the Wizards.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it really did. I mean, he's a bull. I mean, that would be like Larry Bird going and playing
somewhere else.
Yeah, in Indiana.
Exactly.
And I know he's from Indiana, but he's a Celtic. Okay.
Right.
That's what I think. I think Dwayne Wade was given the opportunity to go home, play with the Miami Heat, end your career in Miami, and I think that was a classy thing to do.
Do you get the sense that everything that transpired today was Kobe Altman kind of getting really now his feet wet as a general manager with Dan Gilbert kind of prodding him along, or was this Dan doing a lot of the work? It's always hard to say. It's a young general manager really in his first year. He's finally going to talk to the media tonight. He's having a conference call in a little bit. But this is kind of I felt like the Celtic trade was more Dan Gilbert maybe than anything else.
Yeah.
But you kind of feel like maybe this was Kobe Altman's baptism as a general manager in the NBA.
Well, it's like when when you used to go to the Y for swimming lessons, didn't they say they would take you out there,
That's
drop
right.
you in the middle of the pool, and say, "Hey, swim."
That's right.
He had a big day.
Yes.
I mean, this is a big day. This is. It's hard to think this is one guy doing this. I mean, there are a lot of balls up in the air in this one. I mean, you could have just stopped at the Laker trade with them and said, okay, that's it.
Yep.
But, I mean, they moved on and made several other key acquisitions and unloading of guys and getting rid of some contracts and some bigger contracts. But, yeah, I think it's probably a combination, totally green-lighted by the owner. Yeah. I mean, I think everything goes to him. Hey, I got a deal here. I can do this.
What do you think?
I can take care of the Dwayne Wade situation. What do you think?
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Now, the Cavs will be in Atlanta tomorrow.
With about four guys
Yeah,
playing.
I was going to say.
Yeah. It's going to be like the scene in Hoosiers when Norman Dale pulls the kid and the ref comes over and says, Coach, you only have four on the floor. And he goes, That's my team. My team's out on the floor.
Right. Yeah, it'll be like that tomorrow.
Someone said they might have to go to the Charge.
I think
they
may have to bring up two guys from the Charge because you got to have 8 to start a game, and I think by my count the Cavs have 7. Yeah. So they're going to need a reinforcement. The new guys, Clarkson, Nance, Hill, and Hood, are not expected to play. They are expected, though, to be ready for Sunday in Boston against the Celtics. And I said this earlier with Matt Florjancic and Ben Axelrod. We're going to have to be patient again because it's going to be kind of like the start of a new season for these guys to gel in. But I'm curious to see how these guys are going to play together.
Yeah, I want to take you back to I remember when Larry Nance and Mike Sanders were traded here. And that was a big trade to join a very, very good Cavaliers team at the time. I mean, that was a good team. And everyone was just thrilled, really thrilled to get Nance. And Mike Sanders was, a very, very professional player. He had that strange jumper, remember? From
yeah, exactly.
But it didn't happen right away. Mm-hmm. It wasn't good right away because it was late in the season like this. It was on the trading deadline. In fact, I got to tell you, I was out in I was out in Tucson. At High Corbett Field covering the Indians in spring training. The trade was done, and they needed doctors to get the two of those guys a Cleveland physical to get them eligible to play, to sign off on the deal. And they brought them to High Corbett Field because the doctors there, the Indians doctors, were affiliated with the same, I think it was the clinic. And so they did the physicals there.
Wow.
And then got them
out.
Yeah, got them out. But I remember the Cavs did not play well. They went into a tailspin when they first got there. And it didn't really even work that year in the playoffs.
Yes.
Okay. The next year, it really worked.
They won the 57 games the following year.
It really worked.
And it really
so
worked.
this is even bigger because you're going to have a lot of guys. You have 4 new guys coming in. So this is going to take some time.
Yeah. Now, for comparison's sake, 10 years ago, the Cavs, around the deadline, Danny Ferry made a series of moves. They got Ben Wallace. They got Joe Smith, Delonte West, and Wally Szczerbiak.
Right.
Now, here's the difference, Jimmy. You mentioned 3 of the 4 guys the Cavs got today, 25 years old.
Right.
I mean, Hill's the veteran. At that point, except for Delonte, most of those guys I just mentioned, I mean, Wallace was really kind of towards the end of his career. Szczerbiak was towards the end of his career. Joe Smith, towards the end of his career.
Joe Smith got traded every year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, they needed, that team needed veterans because it was like LeBron and everybody else. But in this case, this is a youth infusion. These are guys that, you know, depending on how contracts go, they could be here a while. I don't know. We'll see. But it's a different trade than 10 years ago.
And I would think that Ty Lue will like coaching these guys.
I do too.
You know, they're younger, they're quicker, they're faster, they're more. They're going to be able to play at the pace he hasn't been able to have the Cavs play at.
Right.
And I really think it's because the Cavs had gotten old.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we may actually see some defense. Maybe we can hold an opponent under 110 points. That would be nice.
I mean, consider that. They won last night, and it was great. It was a great game. They still gave up 138 points in the game.
I mean, that's crazy.
Right.
So we'll see if things change. But kind of to put a bow on the whole thing, I think, again, Cavs fans should be excited because, yeah, at the very least, the roster's better. A lot of the source of the disharmony is now gone.
Right.
And as you said, it opens up a future of possibilities for LeBron.
One more thing it does, there'll be no uncomfortable moments Sunday at the Garden in Boston. There'll be Paul Pierce can have his retirement day with the Celtics, and there'll be no concerns about an Isaiah Thomas tribute video being played to the Celtic fans there. That is on the shelf.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering, no, the Lakers do not come to Cleveland, so there will not be an Isaiah Thomas tribute at the Q.
It would be a short one.
It would be very short.
Yeah, they could do it during a 20-second timeout.
Jimmy, as always, my friend.
All right,
I know you had a bit. I mean, we launched the Olympic Zone. By the way, congrats. The Olympic Zone launched tonight as well as Donovan Live. You had a busy day.
Busy day.
Busy day.
Busy couple of weeks.
We'll have more tonight on the Cavs trades on Channel 3 News at 11 after the Olympic Games. So we'll make sure to join us for that. All right, for David Herviton, for Jim Donovan, I'm Dave DiNatale. Thank you all for watching the WKYC Donovan Live post-game show here on Facebook Live.